It is late at night, you are trying to sleep, and then, completely uninvited, your brain hands you a memory from 6 years ago. Something you said that landed wrong, something you did that you wish you could undo. A moment so small that nobody else probably even remembers it. But your brain remembers it in perfect, excruciating detail. And suddenly you are fully awake, physically cringing, and wondering why on earth your mind even went there. If this happens to you, you are not broken. You are not unusually neurotic. Your brain is doing something very specific. And once you understand what it is, you can actually do something about it. Our brains do not store all memories equally. Memories with strong emotional content, especially shame, embarrassment, and social humiliation, get encoded more deeply and are retrieved more readily than neutral memories. This is connected to the same evolutionary logic behind negativity bias. Social mistakes were genuinely costly for most of human history. Being judged, excluded, or humiliated by the group had real consequences for survival. So the brain evolved to flag these moments, to keep them accessible, and periodically review them as a way of learning from social errors and avoiding repeating them. Psychologist June Price Stagney's research on shame and embarrassment found that these emotions evolved specifically to regulate social behavior. The discomfort you feel when recalling a social mistake is the brain running a kind of social learning protocol. The problem is that the protocol does not know when to stop. The memory gets reviewed once, useful. Reviewed 100 times, no longer learning. It's just suffering. The memories that come back uninvited are almost never about physical pain or practical failure. They are almost always social. The joke that did not land and left a silence. The thing you said in a meeting that came out wrong. The moment someone looked at you in a way that made you feel small. The conversation you replayed for weeks afterwards and still wince at now. These are the brain's most stickily stored memories because socially charged experiences are the ones it was most designed to learn from. And they return most often at night because that is when external stimulation drops and the brain's internal processing, including memory consolidation, becomes more active. The 3 am intrusion is not random. It is just the brain doing its review at a time when there is nothing else competing for attention. Here is what matters about understanding this. If you do not understand why these memories keep returning, you tend to draw conclusions from the fact that they do. I must be a deeply embarrassing person. I keep thinking about this because it really is as bad as it feels. There must be something fundamentally wrong with how I am in social situations. These conclusions are not accurate. They are the emotional residue of a memory system that was designed to be cautious, not a fair assessment of who you actually are. The memory returns because the brain flagged it, not because it defines you. Here are 3 specific things you can do, and I want to be practical here because just let it go is not a useful advice. So when a memory arrives, try to respond to it like a protective system that is doing its job, rather than an enemy attacking you. Acknowledge it. Say something like, I know, you flagged this and I heard you the first time. This sounds strange, but it works because it interrupts the shame spiral, which is often the part that keeps the memory active and replaces it with something closer to understanding. Ask yourself what the memory is actually trying to prevent you from repeating. Sometimes there is a genuine lesson. What was it? Name it specifically. I was not listening well that day. I spoke before I understood the situation. Once you have named the lesson clearly, the memory has done its job. It has less reason to keep returning. The brain reviews things it considers unresolved. Give it a resolution. And for memories that return repeatedly despite this, the technique of self-compassion that we have covered before applies directly here. Ask yourself how you would respond if a close friend told you they did the thing you keep cringing about. you'd almost certainly not think it was as significant as your brain is treating it. That gap between how you treat others' social mistake and how you treat your own is where a lot of unnecessary suffering lives. Closing that gap, even slightly, is one of the most freeing things you can do. When you understand what the brain is doing with these memories, your relationship with them changes. They do not necessarily stop coming, but they stop feeling like verdicts. You stop lying awake, building a case against yourself from a catalog of your worst moments. You start responding to a memory with something closer to, I know, I was there, I've thought about it, and I'm still here. That shift from shame to understanding does not erase the past, but it stops the past from having so much power over a present that has moved on from it. You are not the worst thing you ever did in a social situation. You are someone who has learned things and kept going.